Hello dear viewers, my name is Fardin Nouri and I'm an immigration consultant in Germany. Today I would like to explain for you about the permission to work in Germany with a temporary residence permit, which is called Aufenthaltsgestattung in German language, and with a Duldung. As I have explained for you in my previous videos, when a person comes to Germany and registers himself in one of the initial reception centers for asylum seekers, which is called Erstaufnahmeeinrichtung in German language, to apply for asylum in this country, he is given a proof of arrival, which in German it is called Ankunftsnachweis. After that, when he applies for asylum in one of the branch offices of the Federal Office for Migration and Refugees of Germany for asylum, he is given a temporary residence permit, which is called Aufenthaltsgestattung in German language. He holds this temporary residence permit during his asylum process until the Federal Office for Migration and Refugees of Germany or the court makes the final decision about his asylum application. And after he applies for asylum in the Federal Office for Migration and Refugees of Germany, he will not have the permission to work or to do a vocational training in this country before his obligatory residence in the initial reception center for asylum seekers ends. So now I would like to explain for you in which cases an asylum seeker can get the permission to work during his asylum procedure in this country. First, the asylum seekers whose residence is not restricted to the initial reception center and live outside the center, they can get the permission to work 3 months after their asylum application in Germany. It is worth mentioning that those asylum seekers who have come to Germany from safe countries after 31st of August 2015 and have applied for asylum in Germany, they are not included in this group and they cannot get the permission to work after these 3 months. Second, those asylum seekers who live in the initial reception center and have minor children can get the permission to work after 6 months of their residence in the center. It is worth mentioning that during these 6 months, which I just mentioned for you, the residence of these persons with their minor children is obligatory in this initial reception center, which I also have explained about it in my previous videos for you. Third, those asylum seekers who live in the initial reception center and do not have minor children can get the permission to work after 9 months of their residence in the center. It is worth mentioning that during these 9 months, their residence in this initial reception center is obligatory. If during these 9 months the asylum procedure of these asylum seekers does not end and their obligatory residence in this center also does not end, they must still be given the permission to work. After the Federal Office for Migration and Refugees of Germany makes a negative decision about the asylum application of the asylum seeker, he can unfortunately not get any residence permit in Germany. In this case, if he does not complain against it in his respective administrative court, he must voluntarily leave Germany. Otherwise, he will usually be deported from this country. He must also cooperate with the relevant German authorities in terms of his voluntary return or in terms of his deportation. However, if his deportation is being stopped because of any special reason or reasons, or his deportation is being postponed for unknown period of time, he will be tolerated in Germany and he will be given a Duldung. It is worth mentioning that I've explained about the different types of rejection of asylum application and different types of Duldung in different videos in this YouTube channel. I will also put the link of some of these videos in the description part of this video for you. When the asylum application of an individual is being rejected and he gets a Duldung and his residence is still obligatory in the initial reception center, he can get the permission to work in Germany after 6 months. But if his residence is not obligatory in the initial reception center and he lives outside the camp, he can get the permission to work after 3 months. It is worth mentioning that Those holders of a Duldung must have been deported but could not have been deported because they have not cooperated with their respective German authorities in this regard. They will not get the permission to work in Germany. So, to summarize all this, I can say that in the following cases, the asylum seekers do not have the permission to work in Germany. First, in the first 3 months of the residence of those asylum seekers whose residence is not obligatory in the initial reception center. Second, in the first 6 months of the residence of those asylum seekers whose residence is obligatory in the initial reception center and they have minor children. And in the first 9 months of the residence of the asylum seekers without minor children. And those asylum seekers who get an obviously unfounded rejection or who get an inadmissible rejection from the Federal Office for Migration and Refugees of Germany, and they do not make an urgent application and a complaint against it in their respective administrative court, they also do not have the permission to work in Germany. Third, the holders of Duldung who must have been deported but could not have been deported because they have not cooperated with the German authorities in terms of their deportation. For example, if they have not cooperated in terms of clarifying their identity and they have not tried to get their national passport and submit it to the relevant German authorities, and so on. And fourth, those asylum seekers who have come from safe countries to Germany and they have applied for asylum after 31st of August 2015 in this country. These asylum seekers are the citizens of Albania, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Ghana, North Macedonia, Montenegro, Senegal, and Serbia. And now I would like to explain for you about the fact that while having an Aufenthaltsgestattung or a Duldung, how can you get the permission to work in Germany? The asylum seekers who have an Aufenthaltsgestattung or a Duldung in Germany can get the permission to work in Germany after the end of the periods of time I just mentioned for you, if the permission to work for them is not totally prohibited in Germany. And the Federal Employment Agency, which in German it is called Bundesagentur für Arbeit, must also agree about the work of the asylum seeker, so that he can sign the work contract with his employer and start his work in Germany. In this case, the Federal Employment Agency checks whether the work the asylum seeker has found has similar conditions and privileges as it does for a German citizen or not. For example, in terms of the salary and so on. It is worth mentioning that after 48 months of the residence of the asylum seeker in Germany, the agreement of the Federal Employment Agency is not needed for his permission to work in Germany. But still, he has to take the permission to work from his respective foreigner's office, which in German it is called Ausländerbehörde. In addition, in some types of the employments, for example, if the employment is in the field of study of the asylum seeker, or if the asylum seeker has graduated from a vocational training or an Ausbildung in Germany, he can get the permission to work in Germany from his respective foreigner's office pretty easier. And in such cases, he does not have to get the permission of the Federal Employment Agency for it. It is worth mentioning that the holders of a Gestattung and a Duldung are not allowed to get self-employed in Germany, and they can also not get the permission of self-employment in Germany from the German authorities. So, considering all these points I just mentioned for you, if you are living in the initial reception center for asylum seekers and the period of your obligatory residence has passed in this center, or if you are living in a Gemeinschaftsunterkunft, which is also famous by the name of a permanent camp among the asylum seekers in Germany, or if you are living outside a camp and you have an Aufenthaltsgestattung or a Duldung and you have found a work for yourself, you can submit or send your work contract or the confirmation about your work to your respective foreigner's office and ask this office to give you the permission to work. The foreigners' offices in Germany usually have a special form which you can get it from them and give it to your employer so that your employer can fill it in for them and then either you submit or send it to your respective foreigner's office by yourself, or your employer does it for you. After that, your respective foreigner's office decides in coordination with the Federal Employment Agency about your permission to work in this country. If they give you the permission to work, your respective foreigner's office writes in your Aufenthaltsgestattung or in your Duldung that you are allowed to work with the same employer and in the same field which you have applied for. And when you resign or lose your work, you have to inform your respective foreigner's office about it. In addition, if you find another work for yourself, you have to apply for the permission for it in your respective foreigner's office in the same way as you did it for your first employment. And as I mentioned for you before, the foreigner's office will then decide about it in coordination with the Federal Employment Agency. It is worth mentioning that after the Federal Office for Migration and Refugees of Germany decides about the asylum application of the asylum seeker, if he gets a type of a protection from this office, he can then apply for a residence permit in his respective foreigner's office, and he will then get a residence permit from this office based on the type of protection he has got in Germany. And based on one of these types of residence permits which he gets from his respective foreigner's office, he mostly has the permission to work in Germany. For those who are interested to know more about it, I have explained about the types of protection an asylum seeker may get from the Federal Office for Migration and Refugees of Germany, and in which cases one have the permission to work with them in different videos in my this YouTube channel. I will also put the link of some of these videos in the description part of this video for you. Thanks a lot for watching my video. If you would like to get similar important information about the immigration laws in Germany, your rights and duties in German society, the living conditions in Germany, and other such important topics, please subscribe and follow our channel. If you have any questions or remarks about today's topic, you can write it under this video and I will be more than happy to answer it for you.